another video today about our favorite beach reads recommendations. So we love going to the beach and we love reading. It's like our two favorite things combined. So the first book that we're going to talk about, actually the first author that we're going to talk about, is one of our favorite authors of all time, or at least for me.
Yeah, or me too. Her name is Elin Hilderbrand.
We think.
Well, it could be Elin or it could be Ellen. We're not super sure, but I think it's Ellen.
I think it's Ellen.
Yeah, but it's spelled E-L-I-N, so it's a little confusing. But
and then Hilderbrand is just spelled how it sounds.
Yeah. But she is like one of our favorite beach authors. You cannot go wrong with any of her books, and they're perfect for reading on the beach or by the pool or wherever.
Because pretty much every single one of them takes place in Nantucket. I think there might be like one or two that aren't, but all of them still have some sort of beach element in them, take place like on the coast, and they're all so good. Like
I've never read a bad one.
No. But the one that I'm going to recommend today is The Perfect Couple. The book mixes like mystery and beach reads because it takes place over a weekend where this couple is supposed to be getting married, and this isn't a spoiler because you just read it on the back of the book, and then they find out, or like they find a body the morning of the wedding that has washed up on shore.
Yeah, like on the property where the wedding is going to be. Yeah.
And so the whole book is trying to figure out what happened to this woman, and you find out in the end, and it's so good.
Yeah, it keeps your attention the whole time. It wasn't slow at all, and it was but it wasn't like depressing mystery. It was like entertaining mystery. Yeah.
It's light enough to read for the beach. Murder can be lighthearted.
Yeah.
This is lighthearted.
Yeah.
And the ending is truly shocking, and you'll suspect every single person at some point.
Yeah. And then my favorite book, well, not my favorite book. I like most of her books, but one of my favorite ones by her for the beach would be Summer of '69. So it's about a summer in the 60s, obviously, and it focuses around like 4 siblings in Nantucket, and one of the siblings had to go overseas to fight in like the Vietnam War, right? And then the other 3 siblings stayed at home on Nantucket, and just like it's like a family drama novel. Like there's a lot of like different things going on with like each sibling, and you learn about the different siblings and the different like things they're going through in life, and kind of like that time period, what was going on there too. It was just really fascinating, and I read it. All of her books we read so quickly because they're so good, you just can't put them down. But that was definitely one of my favorites. And
I think this one is going to have a sequel, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming out maybe this week.
Wait, is 28 Summers? 28 Summers is not the sequel to this.
Oh. Well, then never mind.
That.
But she is coming out with a new book.
Yes.
Next week.
I've talked about it 17 times on my channel.
Yes, but if there is any book you go get from this video, go get a book by her and read it, and follow her on Instagram because her Instagram is so much fun to watch.
She does a lot of book giveaways.
Yeah, and she lives on Nantucket year round, and these past few weeks she's been like taking her followers on stories on Instagram and like showing them like the island and different like places that are in the books. So it's really cool. So another series, we have been reading these series for years, like probably since we were in early high school, if not like late middle school. Yeah. So James Patterson is the author. Everybody probably knows who that is. Yeah. He is a mystery writer. His books are awesome, but he has one particular like series of books called the Women's Murder Club. And he has 20?
I think 20. I think
he just came out with his 20th one. I just read it. So he has 20 books in the series, and you have to start with the first one, but it talks about like these women that are all in some type of law enforcement or involved in law enforcement somehow. A lawyer, a detective, a journalist, and a coroner. Yeah. Or she's a medical examiner.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably
but anyway, those books, we always take one of those books to the beach when we go.
Because they always come out like around
in the
summertime.
Summer. Yeah, and they're all pretty easy to follow along. Even though they come out like years apart, like you can still remember what goes on.
And the chapters are really short, which is, I think, the easiest way to fly through a book is really short chapters.
Yeah, I love short chapters.
And these chapters are like max 3 pages, so you just fly through it. Like we could read it in a couple hours.
Right. Yeah. But that's another great series to read,
to take especially on the beach. Especially because you can like binge read them, because there's 20 out now. So if you check out like 10 from the library, you can read them all at the beach. Yep. And we have to be honest, they are not literary masterpieces.
No, but I don't read a lot of literary masterpieces anyway. I'm looking for more of like the entertainment books.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, we're not over here like reading Shakespeare all day long.
Moby Dick on the beach.
No, I want those kind of novels.
Yeah, but
like
I
James
feel like
Patterson.
Like Elin Hilderbrand's books have a little more substance.
Yeah, they're still very.
And like James Patterson is very like straightforward, to the point. It's not gonna like change your life.
Yeah, but still
super good beach reads.
Yes. A book that I highly recommend is The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. And Sarah Dessen she's a young adult author, right? Her books are technically young adult novels, but I've read every single one of her books. I started reading them in middle school too. Least, So the one The Rest of the Story, right? That's what it's called? Yeah. The Rest of the Story.
My favorite book of all time. What's it called?
The Rest of the Story came out last summer, I think, and I read it last summer when it came out. And I was not expecting it to be that great because it's a young adult book. You just don't.
You're way too mature for that.
I didn't think it was going to be that good, but I could not put it down. It was so good. It was about this girl who her mom died, and so she lived with her dad, and then does not know much about her mother's family. And then one summer she had plans to go somewhere, but they got canceled, and her dad didn't know what to do with her because their plans fell through. And so she ended up going to stay with her mother's family. She didn't know anything about them or their history or anything. And so she ended up going there and staying with them for the whole summer and just falls in love with her family and their life and everything. And it was just, I don't know how to describe it other than amazing and magical, and go read it.
I haven't read that one, so I can't speak to it. But she is a very good young adult chick lit author.
Yes, and it wasn't just a stupid little read. It had substance to it, and it was really made you think, and I don't know. I recommend that for sure. You should read it.
Okay, I'll take your recommendation.
Thank you.
I'll read it. So the next series that I'm going to recommend is the Peachtree Bluff series by Kristen Woodson Harvey. It's a mouthful. Mm-hmm. And have you read these?
I've read the first one.
Okay, so it's 3 books, and they follow 3 sisters and their mother. So the first one follows the oldest, I think, and then the middle sister, and the youngest sister is in the last book. And they are also not literary masterpieces. I guess that's just the disclaimer, is that most of these aren't.
But we don't want that for beach reads, so
we just don't want you to go into this with the expectation that these are life-changing novels about
world issues. They're not. They're just fun to read on the beach.
Yeah. But these are still really entertaining and very heartwarming. I thought throughout the series you really get to know all 3 of the sisters, and they each have their own distinct set of problems that the whole book follows, and their family relationship is just really sweet. Yeah. So that's a good beach read. And it takes place I don't remember exactly where, but I think it's
in Georgia.
It's in Georgia, and it's
Peachtree Bluff, Georgia.
Yeah, Peachtree, Georgia, I guess.
That's
a place.
Yeah, that's where it takes place.
Yeah, so it's on the beach.
Yeah.
So the last 2 recommendations are a sharp turn from the other books that we've recommended, because the other ones we recommended were really lighthearted, beachy. They have very similar vibes. These last 2 I'm going to recommend are a thriller. Well, actually, I guess they're both thrillers. One of them is kind of a sci-fi thriller. But I think the requirement for a really good beach read is just something that really captures your attention and that you can't look away from. It's not necessarily all on the beach or all a love story. It's just something that you cannot stop reading, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the last 2 are those books. The first one is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the author?
Right. Yeah.
So this book will mess you up in a good way.
In the best type of way.
In the best type of way. But it's a thriller, and I read a lot of thrillers. Not all of them scare me. This one terrified me.
Really?
Yes. Are you sure you're thinking of the right one?
I did not think it was terrifying.
Okay, spoiler, bleep this part out.
Oh.
You don't remember that?
I do remember it, but I wouldn't call it terrifying.
That scene, I will never forget that scene. Rarely do I remember. That was terrifying. Okay, apparently Sarah's not scared of anything. But this thriller is, it deals with this woman who has substance abuse issues, and she's also an agoraphobe, I think, so she doesn't leave her house. So she watches everything from her window, and she sees a crime happen across the street, and basically she tries to get the police involved, and it doesn't go well because she's a substance abuser and has a history of mental health issues. And the whole book is just mind-blowing. If you want a really good, captivating thriller, read this one.
Yes, it's probably one of the best thrillers I've ever read.
And it's being made into, is it a TV show or a movie? I think it's a movie.
I think it's a movie too.
They made it into a movie with an actress. I can't remember her name, but she's very famous. So
yeah. I feel like when you read that book, like you could like sympathize with her and like you just want them to believe her, but they don't. And it's just makes you so mad.
And like you know the other characters in the book are manipulating her because of her substance abuse, but you don't anticipate the ending.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for the movie. I'm probably not going to watch it, but I'm so excited to think about watching it. It's so scary. It's like a horror movie. I don't know, or not horror. No, it's not horror because it's not.
It's very graphic, suspenseful.
But it's just so suspenseful, and the ending is so terrifying. And watching a movie knowing that that's going to be the ending is nerve-wracking. But
yes,
we might put ourselves through that torture.
I'm going to watch it for sure.
Okay, last but not least is a book that I read, but Sarah didn't, and it's Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. Sorry. Okay. Can you cut that out? So this book is amazing, but it's a very specific type of genre. So I've never read anything else by this author. I don't think I will because her books are, like, I've looked at the rest of them and they don't interest me. But this book, the tagline for it is Killer Mermaids, but in a fun way.
Killer Mermaids.
Yeah, and it's so good, and it's, like, terrifying. Basically, it's about this woman whose sister disappeared. She went on a voyage on a ship years ago, and they were going to try to film this area of ocean that I think had been rumored to have mermaids, and nobody believed it. They all thought it was a hoax, and then the ship never came back. They never found what happened to it. It just disappeared. And so she has been doing this research for years and years because she wants to find out what happened to her sister. And when they get a grant to go on another ship and take it to the same area, she gets on board as a scientist, I think, and she's finally going to find out what happens to her sister. And oh boy, does she find out what happened to her sister. Killer Mermaids.
Is that a spoiler? Did you say that?
I don't think it's a spoiler, but we should look that up.
Sounds pretty good.
It's so good because the author writes everything so scientifically that it completely goes over your head, or at least it went over my head. But it was still so fascinating because these are not like Little Mermaid mermaids. These are terrifying ocean creatures who will kill you, but they also have faces. So
I don't think you guys should read this.
I'm just not doing a good job of explaining it. But it's so entertaining and fascinating, and like it's like a car wreck that you can't look away from because it's so bad that it, like, it's not bad. It's not poorly written. I'm like hardcore struggling to explain this book. And this is the one that I want you to read the most. This is the one I'm like most obsessed with that nobody reads. I've never heard people talk about it, and I think it's so good, and I want more people to read it. So basically just scrap that whole description and trust me.
And just read it.
You need to read it.
I will read it.
Do you have it? You probably won't.
Do you have it?
No. I rented it from the library. Rent books from your libraries, kids.
Or buy them from your local bookstores.
Not from Amazon.
Even though we do that a lot.
We do that a lot. But we don't have to tell them that. Okay. Okay, if you had to pick one of those recommendations to recommend the most, what would you recommend?
Are we talking to the camera?
Yes.
Okay. If I had to pick one, it would probably be the Summer of '69 or just an Ellen Hildebrand book.
Yeah.
Summer of '69 is a good place to start.
If I had to recommend one, it would be Into the Drowning Deep. Not because I did such a poor job describing it, but because I truly don't think it gets enough hype anywhere, but especially on BookTube and Bookstagram. It's such a good beach read. And it's kind of a unusual beach recommendation because it's about killer mermaids. And do you really want to read about killer ocean creatures while you're at the beach?
No.
Yes. Okay. So that's it for the books we recommend. Hopefully you get to go to the beach this summer. We are not going to get to go to the beach this summer.
I don't want to talk about it.
But we can just close our eyes and picture ourselves at the beach. And maybe these books will help you feel transported to a coastal setting.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.